and apparently I can't point that out, but then you can say, oh, well, those taxes don't really count. That's not really part of it. That's, you know, what is that? I'm talking to. I don't know. It's something for your father. Please leave the room. I'm talking to people. Please leave the room. Oh, okay.
All right. All right. Yo, I'm digging this conversation, Tim. Just so you know.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Never mind. I'm sorry. I thought I had to. Oh, all right. I'm back. Can people hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
It's
We're
fucking
good. All right.
Discord and their priority speaker bullshit. All right.
Sorry.
Anyway. So,
Okay.
all right. So, individuals are the only ones who can actually pay taxes because only individuals can be productive. Corporations
Okay,
are
I
just
don't-
pieces of paper.
Okay, so we can talk about philosophically who pays taxes, but we can't talk about the dangers of philosophically saying women shouldn't have the right to vote and that they should just be forced into breeding.
Oh, I didn't say force. Like women will breed on their own if they don't go to school and don't have careers.
Oh, so keep them dumb so they can breed.
Well,
But we were
they're
agreeing
already
that all
dumb.
men.
They're already
we were-
fucking dumb.
No,
Like,
just as
what
dumb
is-
as men. It's overall actually, if you look at the numbers, there are actually more higher intelligent women than there are men. But men tend to have higher, greater overall IQ if you look at the numbers. Whatever, it's fine. Give me just a second. I have to talk to children.
Yeah, that's I call bullshit on that. Absolutely, there's more higher intelligent women than men. Bullshit. Bullshit all day.
That's not me saying it. That's what the numbers say.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Okay, prove me wrong
Women
then.
are
Show me the
not
information.
smarter than men.
Okay, that's why there's more women finishing school than men right now because they don't succeed in a classroom
They
environment.
get gender studies degrees. That
Sure.
don't mean shit.
Sure, because that's all the degrees coming out of universities these days. Doesn't that do
Women
business
be dumb
administration and
as
healthcare?
fuck.
Yeah. Okay. You got any information, or are you gonna try to play that game?
Yeah, I mean, I could link you my videos, Coltane's videos. He demolishes these metrics that feminists point to try to show that women are just as smart or even smarter than men. It's 100% bullshit. These bell curves that show men and women having the same general IQ, but men being more on the extremes, those were taken from children between 11 and 13. Girls start puberty at 11. So they have a once-in-a-lifetime developmental advantage over boys during that window. When you actually test teenagers between 17 or adults, men destroy women across the board every time. There's no instance outside of 11 to 13 where girls are even as smart as boys. Women are not as smart as men. They are less smart than men. They get better grades because of gynocentrism. They get more degrees because they get money thrown at them and they major in bullshit. And that's why they bitch and whine about the wage gap, because they majored in bullshit so they can go work at Starbucks.
Okay, that's all women because there's no men working at a
Right.
Starbucks,
Oh God!
and
Stop
there's
being.
no women in hard
stop.
sciences or anything.
Right.
You
Oh,
keep
see,
trying
this is
I'm
what women
not-
do.
I'm
I'm talking
not
about women in
saying-
general, and you're like, hashtag not all. My pussy hurts. It's so sandy. The douche won't get it all out. It's like, God damn, this is why I don't like talking to women. You can't have a
Wait, I
factual
asked you a
conversation.
question about fucking philosophically not counting corporations for the tax base and responsibility and writing of voter rights, and you suddenly went off on
Corporations shouldn't
way
vote.
more smarter
Yeah,
than women.
corporations shouldn't vote. Get rid of the corporate tax. The whole corporate
Okay.
personhood thing is a product of the
Okay,
corporate
so
tax,
we need to
which
get
is
rid
double
of the
taxation.
corporate. Okay, so we need to get rid of corporate taxation, but we can't try to get rid of the welfare state.
Oh,
when
I'd
they're
love to get rid of the
equally
welfare state. You know who's
dependent on-
stopping us from getting rid of the welfare state? You want to take want to go on a Scooby-Doo
Democrats.
mystery? Women.
Democrats.
Women
No,
are
not
stopping.
just- oh my God,
Oh.
it's Democrats.
Okay,
Democrats, not just women.
Who
It's
votes for Democrats? If women didn't vote, you know, you want me to show you the electoral map of who would win every election if women didn't vote?
54, 55, somewhere around there percent of women vote according to the numbers you used before. Yes? Yes. Now,
Yes.
20%. Wait. Now, 20%
Okay.
of the population is Democrat.
20% of the population is Democrat.
Of the voting populace is Democrat,
Okay.
and about 20% are Republican, right?
Are registered.
Okay.
They're registered
Right.
Democrat, and there's 20% registered as Republicans.
Okay.
They've been
so
losing.
that
They've been
means,
losing a lot of grades.
Yeah, they have. But so that means,
That's
speaking,
Go ahead.
generally speaking, that means there's almost as many women voting against the welfare state as there are for the welfare state.
Here, I gotta. Here, P. Can you throw that image? Oh, I guess people can see it. Oh, am I in the wrong Discord? I might be.
No, you're good. You're good. This right here. Yeah,
All
you're
right.
good, man. It's
Oh,
right here in the
okay.
war room.
There you go.
Ahtemma, you in the war room?
Yeah, I am. How
you
else
see
would
that?
I be?
You
Based on 538 polls only forecast for 2016. Okay, but the 2016 poll and voting forecast had Clinton winning by a landslide.
All right, so where's your counter evidence?
So, well, I don't know what counter evidence I'm supposed to provide. I'm just using the general numbers here and common sense. How am I supposed to? I walked you through the evidence. You agreed with the evidence when I stated it.
If women only voted, all right, see the like fucking Matt.
But you're already saying,
landslide.
you're already saying that if only women voted, well, obviously, since the election didn't turn out as drastic as this upper one you said, where, 5 million to 1 kind of fucking voting record.
All right. So if I show you
Obviously,
a poll,
it's not very accurate considering you just said more women vote than men.
So how many
So
polls?
are you saying-
How many polls should I show you that women don't favor welfare reform until you admit that women are the ones standing in the way of welfare reform? Just give me a number.
I'm looking at the information you've already given me, and I'm saying that it doesn't back what you're saying about taking women's voting rights away. It's saying that women aren't the only thing that's the problem, because obviously men are voting the opposite way according to your maps, and those men are stopping the women from making those big choices. So I don't, because according to your maps, Hillary Clinton would have won, but Hillary Clinton didn't win, so apparently men have enough voting power they can stop that. So if they can stop Clinton from being in office, they can also work on welfare reform, right?
No.
Okay, so how many? Okay,
Why
again,
not?
how many polls you want me to show you of women opposing welfare reform?
Okay, all right. Let me. Hang on. Wait.
That's not even the point.
Hang
The reason why
on,
women
no,
need to
no.
lose their rights is because of the fertility rate, not because the welfare. These are all symptoms. The problem that's destroying Western civilization is the fertility rate, which is caused by women going to school and having careers. They'll admit it. They admit that's why they're not having kids.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you completely right. But there is a portion of it which is the fact that women are married to the state as well.
Yes.
That is an issue. That is an issue, legitimately. Like as far as the fertility rate's concerned, women being married to the state.
So.
If we outlawed abortion, it would increase our fertility rate too. But I don't see that.
We'd be above replacement levels if we outlawed abortion.
No, we wouldn't. Ireland until this year had a constitutional amendment which outlawed abortion. Their fertility rate was still below 2.
Yeah,
outlawing
but
abortion.
I know, but
doesn't
we're not.
work.
I know. We're not talking about Ireland though. We're talking about like America, like the amount, like the sheer amount.
No.
It's 18% of all births are aborted.
But I'm telling you, look, Ireland, as an example, had outlawed abortion, still below replacement. Japan is an ethno-state. If the alt-right got their dream and had an ethno-state, they would still be dying. The only thing that works, the only thing that's proven to work, and it works 100% of the time, is patriarchy.
I agree with you.
It's
I do.
being
I
a little
agree.
rapey. Being a little rapey is totally great. Yeah, keeping them dumb so they can just fuck is a great idea.
So when you hear
that furthers civility.
So when you hear male authority, you just hear rape. That's what your brain does.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I was saying the countries you listed before were pretty rapey. The type of cultures you listed before were pretty rapey.
Right. So what do you want me to tell you what the rape rate is in Pennsylvania with the Amish? Or would you like to hear the rape rate
Okay.
in Israel with the Orthodox Jews who are having all the
Two
kids?
of the something like 8 countries, 10 countries or cultures you listed and regions you listed, 2 of them don't have high rate. The rest of them do. And they don't even recognize it as rape.
Right, it's
So
not,
let's be
but
realistic about those numbers.
But here's the thing. Iran, which is a Muslim country, which oppresses their women with their burqas and hijabs, has a fertility rate less than 2. They have a European fertility rate because they allow their women to go to school and have careers.
Oh.
It's not religion. It's not rape. It's literally women's rights, women's empowerment. That's what destroys your fertility rate. And so, how do you raise the
Women
fertility
having
rate?
rights.
Let's
Okay.
let's
So
think about it.
productivity.
If empowering women lowers, and women admit this. Like if you look up articles about overpopulation, everyone advocates the way to combat overpopulation is to empower women. Everyone admits this.
Yes.
So if empowering women lowers fertility, let's put on our thinking caps. How do we raise fertility? I wonder,
By
how do
taking
you raise
away,
fertility?
okay, but it's such an unreasonable idea. Don't you understand?
I'm
If people
solving
have
the
already,
problem.
and it's not a solution. If people are already going to say, no, taking my rights away will cause me to fight, that is not going to positively affect your fertility rates.
Women aren't going to
That
do
is
shit.
going to
Women aren't
negatively
going to
affect.
do shit. You know what women are going to do when they lose their rights? They're going to go, okay, you want me to suck your dick now? Okay.
You wish. Okay,
Oh,
that's reasonable.
that's what's
yeah,
happening.
I can totally tell
All right.
that's what's going to happen by your response right there. You're totally thinking it through.
Wait, I gotta bomb the drop. What is the feminist government of Sweden doing right now?
They're letting grooming gangs wander around. What does Sweden have to do with America where there's an actual responsive government?
Wait, so why aren't the women fighting? They have a feminist government. Why are they letting this horrible thing happen? Why are they letting the men rape them? Why are they letting the violence happen? Why won't the women fight for their rights?
When the women are outnumbered, something like 15-1, it's kind of hard to fight off the rapists.
The Muslim population of Sweden is 8%. 8, not 80, 8. So how does 8% of the population
and those
have
grooming
the entire...
gangs and those rapes don't happen in the majority Swedish areas, do they?
Right, but 8% of the population has the country bent over a barrel. How do they do that if the women are so ready to fight for their rights?
Through violence.
But the women are going to fight. The women, they're ready to fight for their rights.
Okay, yeah, they're feminists. They aren't going to. I don't understand what feminism has to do with what I'm talking about.
So, wait.
I don't agree with feminism. Feminism is fucking retarded. I've already said this. Egalitarianism is intelligent. Feminism is fucking retarded. Feminism has led us to a bunch of girls that think, oh, I'm just going to stand here and scream. I don't have to fight for myself. These boys are going to come white knight me, and I'm going to be all better instead of learning how to stand up for my fucking self.
So
that's the goddamn difference.
So define feminism in regards to not being egalitarian?
It's not egalitarian in any way, shape, or form. It's the attempt to create a matriarchy.
Okay. I agree with you, but for different reasons. I just wanted to hear your definition. So... you brought up Socrates a little bit earlier with in regards to ethics. Are you familiar with his famous quote, once made equal to men, women becomes his superior?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's a pretty famous quote.
Give me that again, because it cut out.
Oh, once made equal to men, women becomes his superior.
Oh yeah, we had a long debate about that. No, yeah, I've had a long debate about that, and I always disagreed with it, because
the ethics, the Socrates.
Well, the Socratic method, not Socrates. The method, the steps.
So I mean, Greece and Rome, not Imperial Rome, but like the Republic of Rome. Neither of them gave women voting rights. In fact, women didn't get voting rights until living memory. There's still people alive today who remember a time when before women could vote. So these are not cherished pillars of Western civilization that have existed forever and ever. So I'm just curious, like, why do you think women having equal rights is so essential to our values as Western civilization when they're so fairly recent?
Because Western civilization grew and expanded faster under the ideals of egalitarianism than it did without it, and it did so in a less violent fashion.
So you think from 1920 to the present day, there was less violence?
By the
'Cause, I mean,
numbers, yes.
so, like, I mean, really,
By the numbers, yes. The societies
the
themselves have grown and expanded and reached out into other places. By the numbers, there has been less death since the 1920s than there was before in Western or European civilization.
right. So the problem, that's the cause of the Industrial Revolution and World War II and all the advancements and stuff like that, which would have happened regardless.
I
That's
don't
nothing
know.
to do with giving women's rights. Women's rights. Look, if you want to see what women's rights does, look at the ghettos. Look at all the single moms. That's
Okay,
what.
I can't agree with that because I firmly believe that all people are created equal. There's no way to have a functioning society where people are separate but equal. There's no way, especially not with the way our country is codified.
How do you define equality? What do you mean?
Equal representation under the law, equal access to rights.
Okay,
So
'cause-
basics,
so
very,
everybody,
very simplistic.
so everybody's born with equal access to rights. So, or you mean like, but do you think those rights have to be earned, or you think everyone should just be born with the same rights?
You're born with them, they aren't earned.
Okay, so why can't babies vote?
Because they don't have consent, they don't have sentiency yet. They can't even read what they're
Alright.
voting.
Why can't illegal aliens vote?
Because they aren't a member of our society. You have to be a member of our country
No,
to be able to vote on what happens in our country.
But we're all created equal. Why
As
are we creating
codified
these
in our
extinctions?
laws.
But
Because we have a country.
So if-
Now you're going off into silly land.
right, so if we change the law and say only net taxpayers vote, and that becomes the law, then that's the new standard. There's nothing unethical about that because we're changing the law. We already have other distinctions of who can and can't vote. We don't just say everyone's the same because you're born. We already differentiate between different people based on their legal status. So we're just going to lower women back to where they were prior to first wave feminism, where
It's
they don't
not
have
gonna
all
work.
these. It won't work because why?
Because women have already had the freedom. You're trying to put the cat back in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Just like it's
not
happening in
gonna work.
Sweden. It works in Sweden. It works everywhere the Muslims are coming
Okay,
in.
and nothing about Swedish law has worked in America. Dane law doesn't work here.
All right.
It's
No,
we have
well,
a
America-
system that's
yeah,
based off
America-
of King's Bench. It's not based off of Swedish law. I mean, you're at this point. If you want to say we have Swedish law, we need to undo the presidency.
No, what I'm saying is in Sweden they were a Western European country based on Western European values. They had the fuck. Anyway, sorry, something fell. They have feminism. They have equal rights, all that shit. But because
They're
of the low
also
fertility
socialist.
rate, yeah, because of the difference between capitalist socialism, fascism, communism, that's all a matter of degrees. That's a conversation
Sure.
for another day. No, it is. I mean, we could look up the Economic Freedom Index, and that actually numerically tracks everything. You know, America's a lot more socialist than you think. Anyway, Sweden is a Western European country. Sure, they have socialism. I'll agree with you. But they imported Islam into their country because of their low fertility rate. And now they have no-go zones, they have Sharia law, and women are losing their rights. And not only are Swedish men not fighting for their rights, they're bending over backwards to accommodate their own elimination. That's what actually happens to feminist egalitarian societies when they're confronted with a patriarchy.
Feminism and egalitarianism are not the same. I'm going to say it again. They may have been stomping on the
egalitarian societies.
But
egalitarian societies. There are very few. Go ahead.
Can you tell? Yeah, give me an example of an egalitarian society that's not feminist.
Well, before we had the deadbeat dad laws, America was closest I have seen to an actual egalitarian country. Honestly, like places like China and Israel are more egalitarian in their law than we are.
China?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Unfortunately, if you look at the numbers, China has a more egalitarian law system than we do because they don't recognize the difference between men and women.
Yeah, because they were communist.
Yes, I know.
So
Egalitarianism, as it's set in America before the deadbeat dad laws and all that shit, is the closest you're going to get to true, pure egalitarianism. But there's no way to have a pure anything because people aren't. That's not how we
right,
work.
right. I'm just I'm that's funny because like yeah, China is very
But
oppressive.
down to yeah, I know, but down to the if we're looking at the laws themselves and how people, because there's no really other way for me to gauge egalitarianism than other through legalistic fashion. Um,
Okay.
because everything else is very subjective. You know what I mean? Like,
So
oh, she
everybody's
could
oppressed.
basically, yeah, everybody's oppressed
Uh,
equally. So there's like two big extremes, and it's very hard to create a balance. Egalitarianism can really only be done through legal representation.
okay. Right. I okay.
I'm Occam's razoring this to hell. I know.
Well, yeah, we're also throwing in a lot of other things that like China and all that. Like if you look at, I like to use the Economic
You
Freedom
asked
Index.
me. You asked
Well,
me who was the most
yeah, no, it's fine.
egalitarian.
That's I don't. I mean, that's interesting. It's interesting that you would cite China as an example of an egalitarian society
Well,
that
I'm on
is.
both sides of the spectrum for it. You know what I mean? Good egalitarianism and bad. You wanted two examples. I gave you one good and one bad.
Well, I mean, but Israel, like, yeah, I can see what you're saying with Israel because they forced their women to serve in war, even though 96% of their combat troops are still men. But still, 4%. Golf clap for the 4%. But yeah, that's interesting. But the thing about Israel, since you brought up Israel, is they're only the Orthodox Jews who don't let their women enjoy the rights are the ones having all the kids. That's why the Israeli fertility rate is above 3. It's because of the Orthodox Jews having all the kids. So, even in those egalitarian societies or more practical egalitarianism, because theoretical, doesn't necessarily exist in reality. But
Yeah.
even in an egalitarian society like Israel, their fertility rate is being propped up by the patriarchal subculture, the subculture where women don't have the freedoms and rights that they do in other parts of Israel, like the French and Swedish fertility rate is being propped up by the immigrants who don't allow their women to have the freedom that the other people in that country do. So, if you want
So,
a sustainable society that isn't going to go extinct, the solution universally is take women's rights away. Do not give them the freedom of men. Otherwise, your society will slowly die. That's just the biological reality.
okay. So you're saying survival of the culture is greater than the rights of the individuals because that's not going to change the culture?
Well, let me ask you something. So, communism. This is communism example. It's a thought experiment. So, everyone loves communism when they're first dividing up the pie. When they first impose communism and seize all the wealth and they start giving it out. Everybody loves communism. It's only when they run out of other people's money and the starving sets in. That's when everyone's like, "Oh, this was a bad idea, everyone. This was a really bad idea." And then everyone's like, "Oh, but it'll work next time." So it doesn't like if it's not sustainable. The reason why I bring this up is if a society cannot sustain itself, even if people like it, even if it's based on thumbs up, this is great. If it's going to burn itself out and lead to extinction, it's not a good system, even if temporarily everyone loves it. Do you see
Okay,
where I'm coming
but
from?
a human population is growing, so where is this extinction?
It's not growing in first world feminist egalitarian countries. That's the problem. So if you had a global
But the
plague,
population isn't
if
decreasing.
you had a global plague and everybody's population was more or less going up and down together, then who cares? But when you have certain countries that are dying because of their low fertility, and then you have other countries growing because they don't have women's rights, what's going to happen is those other countries are going to take over. It would actually be better if the world population would ebb and flow along with plagues and whatnot and wars, because then we'd at least be rising and falling together. But when you have one society dying and one society extending, you're going to have Western society is going to be permanently destroyed. It's going to be replaced and it's never coming back because it will be replaced forever
With what?
with Islam or some other culture that doesn't give women rights. They are going to inherit the world because it's a numbers game. whoever has the babies
So
rules the world.
So modern man isn't capable of adaptation?
Well, I'll give you a scenario that I actually advocate for, which would solve this problem, and you wouldn't have to take women's rights away. We have to have artificial wombs, and then we just grow test tube babies, and then we won't need women anymore. Women can go have their careers and raise their cats, and we'll have our clone babies and our sex
Okay.
robots, and we'll go bravely into that cyborg new world Star Trek future.
So, the communist future? What? Um,
No, not a
Star
communist.
Trek is wholly
More,
based on communism, but that's a whole different
well,
argument.
you have replicators that essentially create everything for free. So once everything is free, you don't need money
Yeah,
anymore.
post scarcity communism is supposed to be brilliant, isn't it?
Well, I mean, look,
Okay,
theoretically, if everything were free, there'd be no reason to have money because you just get anything. You just hit a button. What's
so
the
Greek
point?
society declined to a very, very tiny population, didn't it? Their birth
Yeah.
rates dropped pretty drastically right before the fall of the Greek Empire or the Greek nation or whatever you want to call
Oh,
it.
right.
But I could still go to Greece right now.
Right. Well, so here, let me. Let
And
me.
we still speak Greek, right? I mean, like the language is
Hold
still
on.
active and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, here.
So,
Well, I got a little. Here's a
wouldn't
little.
it be
Here's a thing.
reasonable to say that these countries, these civilizations, will be capable of adapting if they
Well, they
stop
are. They do
bringing
adapt.
in,
They do it
if
here.
they
I just
stop bringing in bringing in anti, whatever that culture is, elements?
yes. In fact, like I'll give you an example.
So
Venezuela.
isn't
Ven-
immigration really the problem more than uh, women?
Yeah,
No.
but it's caused by okay. The immigrants are coming because of the welfare state. The welfare state exists because women vote for it. Women vote for it because they were given rights. So if you can figure out a way to take away the welfare state and have women go along with it without opposing it every step of the way, I would love to hear it. I
Well,
am
they
all
voted for
ears.
Trump.
You voted for
They voted
yeah.
for Trump,
So
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 obviously more than half of the women voted for Trump. So obviously,
no, half of white women voted for Trump, and white people are dying. You want to know why white people are dying? Ask me why white people are dying.
oh Jesus, please don't get into the argument
Ask
with a mixed race
ask
woman.
me
I
why white
don't
people are
care.
dying. What did they do? What did they do to cause their fertility rate to go to shit? Ask me. Go ahead.
They started breeding with non-whites. Just
No,
ask the
no,
ethno state. It
no,
makes the muddy
no,
genes and all the
no.
bullshit.
Shh, shh.
It says,
They
dude,
gave white women rights.
except for that, gee, every other woman in the nation, white or non-white, got the same rights a few years later. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah, the fertility rate is dog shit across the board in the U.S. But the reason why the white race is dying, especially, is because white countries are all feminist and they all gave their women rights and all their fertility rates are dog shit. But then when they immigrate people who from other countries,
So because feminism is shit, we should punish all women.
what is what is feminism? Feminism is giving women unearned privileges. I'm saying now.
No,
I even
feminism is
said
the attempt to create a matriarchy, which isn't going to work.
right. So why not get rid of feminism, i.e., all the rights they've been given from first wave onward, and we get rid of feminism? That means no more right to vote, no more family court. All
But
these
that's
laws go away.
but no,
We're
that's
just
part
getting
of an
rid of feminism.
egalitarian society. No, you're not. You're
Oh,
attacking women
so we weren't
from
egalitarian. So first wave of feminism was egalitarianism. So
no.
when did so
I've
which
never
waves?
stated. In fact, I've
All
stated the
right.
opposite several
So
times now.
so how is getting rid of feminism getting rid of egalitarianism? Because you just said feminism isn't egalitarianism, but
It
getting rid of
isn't.
feminism would
No,
be
you're
also
not.
getting rid of
But
egalitarianism.
getting rid of women's rights is not getting rid of feminism.
I'm talking about getting rid of the rights that feminism has given them from first wave, second wave, third wave onward. Get rid of those. I'm not saying get rid of their
Okay,
rights as human beings. I'm not saying treat them
you,
like chattel. I'm saying take away all the rights they've been given from the 1900s to the present day. Go all the way back to the.
okay, so you want to take away the right for a woman to own land she buys herself as well.
No.
She can,
No.
no, she can buy land
That's
herself.
part of what he's talking about, Tom.
No, no,
No?
no. Women have owned land since like the
Yeah, women can own
1500s.
land. I don't
Yeah,
give a
but
shit about women owning land. I'm talking about
women haven't been able to purchase it. They have to inherit it from somebody else.
No,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
they
up
could,
until the early 1900s, that's how it worked. Women could not buy land. They had to have a man do it for them and gift it to them.
no, 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 no.
Yes.
No, all the
Yes,
all
yes,
the
yes,
stuff,
yes,
all the
yes,
stuff.
yes.
Hang
all
on, all
right.
the stuff.
Okay.
Wait, wait, wait,
So,
wait. All the brothels and shit in California and Nevada back in the fucking day when they had a gold rush and all that shit back in the 1840s. Women owned all that fucking shit on their own. Women were some of the largest landowners in the fucking old west.
And how did they get that land? They didn't go buy
They
it
bought
themselves.
it.
They
No,
had to
they
use
bought
a
it.
man to get it.
yeah,
no,
well,
they bought it.
They
they earned their
had to
living on their
use a
backs.
man to
Well,
get it.
yeah. Well, okay,
The only
what are
way
they
they
supposed
could
to do?
get
Work in the
the
mine?
deed
Are they
was
supposed to
to.
go mine? Are they supposed to chop down trees with their girly arms? Like,
No, no, no,
women
no.
earn
She
their
no, no.
living on
Wait,
their
wait, wait,
backs.
Tia,
That's not
wait,
what I'm
wait.
fucking saying.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying
That's
they
not what she's
couldn't go
talking about.
physically get the deed themselves. They had to have a man get the deed and give and write the deed over to them.
No,
Yes. Go
I'm gonna
look
look
at
it
how the
up.
laws
I'm
work.
I'm 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 gonna look it up. I'm gonna look
All
it
right,
up.
you
Hang
look it
on.
up.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
look it up.
All right. I'm personally in favor of women owning land if they pay for it. I will compromise. I'll meet you halfway on that. As long as they don't vote, there's no welfare state. There's no affirmative action. There's none of that. All that first, second, third wave shit all goes. They can own land though. I'm fine with that. We're just getting rid of feminism. We're
Um,
going back to
you
the good
can't.
old days.
It's not going to work.
It's okay.
It's not going to
Well,
work. It's not pragmatically possible. I mean, you're going to create a whole lot of problem. There's less violent, more rational ways to resolve the issue than taking away voting rights in a society that's had them for nigh on a century for both groups.
right. So right now, while we're talking, Muslims are taking women's rights away. They're instituting Sharia courts in Western countries, and they are taking their women's rights away now. So the race is on. Who's going to take women's rights away first? Whoever does it's going to win. They'll have the babies. They got the babies. They got the power. We don't have 100 years. MRA has been trying to stop feminism or slow it down. They haven't done shit. We don't have another 100 years to wait for this mythical generation that's going to, I don't know, be responsible for once in their goddamn life. It never happens.
Okay, so take women's rights away, force them to be baby factories, and that'll fix everything.
No, abolish all the rights feminism has given them because you're anti-feminist. You don't agree with any of the waves of feminism. They were all bad. They're not egalitarian. Feminism is a
It
female
never was. That
supremacist.
was.
Right. It never
It's
was. So
always
let's get
been female
so
supremacy.
so let's
But
so let's get rid of
wait,
all feminist rights, which
no.
you agree with. You just said feminism is a female supremacy movement. So get rid of
Yes,
all the rights
but
feminism has given them.
okay, so in that vein, everything that's negative associated with Nazism should be removed because it was bad. So throw out all those heart transplants and organ transplants because
Okay. So
that's bad. No, you don't
all
throw
right.
the
So
baby
what?
out with the bathwater.
So
You have
what?
to pragmatically look at reasonable, rational ways to solve a problem.
So what wave of feminism was egalitarian?
None.
So
I'm
what
not
rights
talking
that
about.
feminism what
You're
rights are
being very
feminism
myopic
give?
about this.
Right, because I got you, boo. It's checkmate. I got you. You can't
No, you
get out of
don't,
this.
because you're assuming that everything that has happened in terms of equal rights and citizenship in America is hinged upon feminism. But there was already a movement saying that men and women needed to be equal prior to the suffragettes. It started in the 1700s.
Hmm.
It was founded by a bunch of like hippy dippy style Christians that lived in a fucking commune in the middle of nowhere, Europe. I can't remember what province because it's all changed since then.
You're talking about the
There was,
Enlightenment, where people were the whole yeah,
yeah, sort
yeah,
of, yes, yes.
right. So from the Enlightenment, we got feminism and communism. Maybe the Enlightenment
We
had some
also
bad
got
ideas.
theoretical, yeah, and maybe we also got theoretical physics and Einstein.
Right. I
So
didn't say they were
okay,
all bad. I said that
exactly, and not
it's not
everything that's
all.
happened with feminism is all bad.
All right. So feminism isn't. So feminism does some good stuff. So what rights should we keep?
Okay, so land ownership, since that is
Mm-hmm.
something that determines uh, uh, how people are I guess, viewed as citizens of your society will work within that weird paradigm that you have about being
What,
able to
net
vote and stuff
taxpayers?
like that. Well,
Yeah, net
taxpayers. Well,
right.
net taxpayers is a whole other ball of wax because
Well,
then
before
you're
before the
taking out
income
the entire
right. So before the
working
income
class.
tax, landowners were the taxpayers. So if we let's say
Landowners and business owners, not
right, so
just land.
let's say we abolish the income tax entirely and we go back to that system where we use land ownership and businesses to pay the taxes. So
Only
women
if you make sure that men and women can equally access work to be able to run a business and land to be able to run a business.
but
Arn,
women
I just
can't
looked it up. I just looked it up. I posted the motherfucking link in the motherfucking chat, or yeah, in the Discord chat. It's a Time. It's actually a Time article about fucking women owning land in the fucking Old West and all the
Yes.
rights that they were given in the Old West long before they got them back east.
Okay, the Old West. Are you talking about the Wild West, the frontier, where there
Yeah,
was no way to establish rule of law?
no, they had rule of law because women were fighting in courts in like San Francisco, and places like San Francisco and California and Wyoming and fucking New
And the
Mexico and
vast
fucking
majority of them
Texas.
had to use a man to get
No,
their property. Yes, they did. They had to have the vast. Go look at the history of those
that's
deeds.
back east. That's not out in the west.
Okay, well, you're talking about one specific section, Tom. We're talking about this in a litigant fashion, right?
Well, no, no. I'm saying in the Old West, the women had the ability to have the fucking rights that everybody else did, for the most part, because they wanted to. They wanted to attract them there. That's how
right.
women originally got their fucking rights to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
That's how it all began.
Wyoming was the first state to give women voting rights because they wanted more women to move to Wyoming.
Okay,
So yeah,
but I was talking about land ownership and
Well,
how
right.
most women
But
had to go
wait,
through
this
a
is
man to get their
right.
land.
But you also followed that up with you want women to have equal access to jobs. How do
Well,
you do that without gender? Like, they can apply for the job, but what if they can't do it?
then they
Do they
don't get the
still?
job. No, they
Well,
just
then
have to have
women.
equal access to application for the job. I'm not saying they have to be given the job. No, I'm saying equal opportunity. Do you see
Right,
what I'm
women.
saying?
So when women apply for the job and they're laughed at, are you going to be okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, because women aren't going to. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, no,
Like,
if I had to prove every fucking equation I turned in for every experiment I was papered on, if I had to prove those 4 more times than the male counterparts in the same fucking experiment group, they're gonna have to go fucking do it too. They're gonna have to go proof and work just as hard as I did to be recognized as a fucking equally valid and intelligent scientist as the rest of them.
all right.
Sorry, they're gonna have to work just as hard as I did. That's how it works. If you want to compete, you have to be able to fucking compete. You don't get handed anything.
Right, but so okay, so I take it you're a STEM major.
I was, yes.
Right. So you're aware. This is the thing. You know, we realize like women don't STEM very well.
Depends on the woman. But yeah, I
Right,
know a lot
right.
of women don't.
Generally, women can't STEM. So in your system, the system you're advocating, where women have these equal opportunities, the vast majority of them will fail, and
And
men
they'll
will
find
be in.
something else to do.
They'll have babies, and men will be in charge by default because they're the ones who do the things. So we'll have a system called the patriarchy. So I'm
There never was
glad
a
that we're on this.
patriarchy. There never was a patriarchy. That's just some clever wordage. What you're talking about is classical traditional society. That isn't
Right.
based upon male or female. It's based upon who can do the job. I do believe the word we're looking for is meritocracy.
Meritocracy is pay. Okay, men have authority. Women are dependent on men. Therefore, men have responsibility for women. Therefore, men must have authority over women. That's what patriarchy is. It's simply a recognition that women are dependent on men and men have to be responsible for them, or else you go extinct as a species.
Okay,
That's
that's not
always
patriarchy, but
that's
you're
well,
just talking about gender roles and biological
right. Male authority.
differences.
Okay,
But that's
when
not what
men
you were
have
saying earlier,
when
Monkey.
men
You
have.
were saying that women should have no rights because they can't
I
do the
didn't say
same
no
things
rights. I said
physically.
take women's rights away. I didn't say they should have no rights.
Take women's rights away. So no
Yes.
rights. Take their rights away. How am I not supposed to?
Right. I not
You
all rights
did.
are like that. I didn't say hashtag not all. I didn't say all rights. I said take away women's rights. I
Okay.
could. I'm
Well,
talking about their
the
feminist
rights.
rights.
The rights that a woman has are the same that a rights that a man has. It's equal opportunity or equal representation before the law and equal access to the said rights.
Right. So in reality, meanwhile, back at the ranch, women cannot compete with men.
It
There's
depends
very
on
few,
where they're competing.
there's
In medicine,
almost
women
no
compete just as
there's
well as men.
almost
In
there's almost
psychology,
no
women
jobs.
compete just as well as men.
Yeah, right. There's almost
There
no
are
jobs.
certain areas.
There's certain right, and then those certain areas, those women, like, again, using STEM as the example, because a lot of what you're talking about is like science and medicine and so forth. Outside of, and the thing is, like, nursing used to not be a thing. Like, nurses were just doctor's assistants. There wasn't a degree for it, just like there wasn't a degree for journalists. This is just a job you got. And the colleges, in order to get those sweet college loans money, they created degrees for it. But back in the day, women assisted. You had female assistants doing jobs that the doctors and the business owners, they had secretaries and so forth. Yeah, women could do the low skill work. No one's arguing that. And they would get paid for their labor. No one's arguing that. Women were the original low skilled labor. So I'm fine with them working, but they will always be dependent on men. There's never going to be a case unless we go full transhumanist and we actually change our genes somehow to make men and women truly biologically equal, which I'm not
That would be
against.
scary. Oh, I am.
Well, hey, you never had some food of sex before? Come on.
Nope.
All right. Anyway, but women are going to be dependent on men in basically any society unless we change our biology. So if men are going to be responsible for women, they have to have authority over women. If men have authority over women in general, you have to have a society where men are recognized. That is a patriarchal society.
No. That
No.
it doesn't work that way because we already have the cat out of the bag. There are
So we
too
take the cat
many.
away.
You can't take the cat away. It's too late. This is Schrodinger's cat. It exists. Even if you say it doesn't
Right,
exist, it's
but
going to exist.
So how are the Muslims doing it in Sweden? Riddle
They
me
aren't
that,
doing it
Batman.
in Sweden.
They're
They
not
aren't
taking women's
doing
rights
it.
away?
They aren't
don't have-
taking women's rights away. They haven't codified anything like that. The government hasn't physically changed. All you can do is say that there's a group of people terrorizing another group of people. Nothing has physically changed yet. Until they start recognizing and enforcing the laws that they already have, you can't say that something is being changed yet. There's just no way to do that.
No, it is just like in like fucking Lansing, Michigan, where they have the Sharia courts and females don't have.
They have Sharia courts in Sweden.
Yes, and they aren't recognized by the country or the government of the country.
Sure they are. They absolutely are
they may
recognized
be
by
now,
the country.
But what does Sweden have to do with America? We aren't doing the same immigration practices.
At the buzzer. Psh, fucking fanfare. Fucking, you just admitted I was right. Just so you know.
You didn't listen to all of what I said, so no, the person that's wrong is you. Without taking in all the information, you can't declare whether you're right or wrong.
So Muslims are taking women's rights away. The government is recognizing it. But what was the part I missed?
That has nothing to do with America.
So it's not happening in America yet. Oh, okay.
We don't have the same. It is not, Tom. It's a couple of small locales and people are fighting it. There's an increase of people fighting it. There's a difference.
Right.
There's a big fucking difference. You're talking about roaming grooming gangs and people saying, "Oh, well, they didn't know, so it's okay."
I'm talking about Sharia court. I'm talking about Sharia courts in Sweden enforcing Islamic law, which is in contradiction to Swedish law.
Sharia courts in America get shut down, and people go to jail for doing it.
Well, because the Muslim population in America is significantly less than the Muslim population in Sweden.
Exactly.
Per capita.
So there's very little reason to justify doing that.
But white people aren't having babies, but the Muslims are. So give it some more years.
Muslim people are white too.
Yep, and they're going to take women's rights away.
Probably not in America.
Yep.
We are a different kind of paradigm with all the armed people and all that freedom codified and stuff.
So
it's
as white
a bag
people
that can't be closed.
So as white people die out and are replaced by Muslims, the Muslims are going to embrace egalitarianism?
That's a fuckload of assumptions, dude.
That's
a fuckload of assumptions.
Okay, so white people are reproducing above replacement?
No, that Islam is going to be the one that takes over the world.
Oh, I don't know.
White people have always been a minority.
It's going to be someone. Okay, it's going to be. It doesn't have to be Islam. It's someone who doesn't give women rights because those are the people having the excess population to export. Every society that has a fertility rate above 2 doesn't have feminism. Women's empowerment is what destroys your fertility rate. So it doesn't have to be Islam. It could be in Nagaland in India. There's a Christian community in Nagaland that do not recognize women's rights, and they have a high fertility rate. And they're Christian. It doesn't have to be Islam, but it's going to be some group that does not empower women. So whatever group takes women's rights away will rule the world. I've given you the keys to the kingdom.
Do you honestly think that a society that already has empowered women, if you say, oh, yeah, you can't be empowered anymore, now go have more
Right.
babies, they're actually going to do it?
Sweden's doing it right now. So I don't have to paint a theoretical, now just like Sweden isn't America, but Sweden is a Western country in Europe
That
that is
doesn't
it is
have codified
happening
free speech,
now.
doesn't have codified right to bear arms, doesn't have codified rights to land ownership.
All they gotta-
Sweden. You have to own a gun.
No, you don't.
No, you're thinking of Switzerland.
I'm sorry. I get them.
Sweden is a gun-free
They're
zone as far as I know.
They're the same. They're the
Right.
same
No,
place to me.
But all Islam has to do, or any society that has the high fertility rate because they don't give women rights, they just have to wait. They will outlast, just like Japan. The population, the egalitarian population will continue to decline until Islam or any other society that doesn't recognize women's rights outnumbers you, and they take over, and they will win because they have the numbers, they have the youth, they have the babies. The future belongs to those who show up.
Yeah, and you do realize that second and third generation immigrants to America are equally patriotic to 12th and 15th generation for the most part,
You
right?
sure about that?
That's been the general number for a long time.
Sure, you sure about? You want me to look up the attitude of Muslim immigrants in
Okay,
Western
Muslim
countries?
immigrants is 3% of the population in America. It's
But-
fucking tiny.
Right.
Look
Okay,
at the
but-
rest of it. We're talking about overall immigration. You think
So-
Muslims are the ones coming to America? Are you serious?
They're the ones coming to America because they're being invited to, because the welfare state is a Ponzi scheme that requires more workers. And if the native population isn't having kids because women decided they'd rather work on their career and go to school, they have to import people. The only countries having excess population to export are patriarchal countries, mostly Islamic countries. The Western countries they don't have the excess population to send anywhere. They're all below fertility because they gave women rights.
Couldn't have anything to do with the advancement of medicine to, increase birth control that men and women both use. Couldn't have anything to do with a greater opulence, which means a slower maturity level. Couldn't have anything to do with
Right. So all those
none
things
of
you're
that
talking
matters. It just matters
those-
because women can vote.
That's what the data shows. In countries that outlaw abortion, like Ireland prior to this year, still had a fertility rate below 2, even despite abortion being illegal. So banning abortion isn't the answer. Belgium, Germany, I can't remember the other
listed
countries.
A multitude of things, and you said banning abortion.
Well, because I'm
listed
pointing
a
to you,
multitude
I'm
of
pointing to you
things and
practical, real world
banning
examples.
abortion.
Countries have tried paying women to have kids, doesn't work. They've tried banning abortion, doesn't work. What does work, and it works 100% of the time, is disempowering women, taking their rights away. It works every single time.
Harming half of your society is the best
No
way
one's
to
being
keep your
harmed.
society
Women
going.
never earned these rights to begin with. It's not you're basically you're resolving an injustice
No,
that
rights
happened.
don't have to be earned. You're born with them.
Rights have
Rights,
responsibilities attached to
Yeah.
them.
Right. You're talking now. We're talking about negative rights and positive rights. Yeah, your right to life, liberty, property. That's fine. Whatever. If you work for it, you deserve to keep it. If you earn it, you deserve it. You've earned it. Your right to vote. Your right to
And
all this other
voting's not
shit.
a right. Wait. Voting's not a right. Because
Well,
you know what? Felons
Oh, it
don't
is
vote.
now.
No, felons don't vote.
Well, and children don't vote, and illegal aliens don't vote.
But it's in the Constitution now that
Right.
it's an
So we're gonna.
amendment.
So
it
we're
is
going
a
to.
right
So I
now.
want you to imagine. Just come on a journey. Let's say we change the government, and it's no longer a right. Oh, now it's.
Okay, and what if we do it my way and we teach people to value relationships and teach them that it's important to have children and look to the future and that it's important to grow up and be a responsible individual? What if we did that? Because it would work equally well.
No, because the laws are only getting worse. Feminism doesn't work. Feminism is killing societies.
I wasn't saying teach feminism. I was teaching
Okay.
traditional family values.
Right. Traditional family values are based on gender roles, which require men being responsible for women, which requires male authority, which requires patriarchy. So if you
No, it
want to teach
doesn't.
female
No,
submission
it doesn't,
to the
because
man
what you're
who's
talking
keeping them
about is a woman
alive,
coming out of a man's side, which would mean that they're equal.
Okay, how
No.
long is it going to take to instill your plan, Ahtemma?
It's going to take a couple generations,
So like what, 50, 60, 80 years?
probably 50 or 60 years, because that's how long it takes to do true, proper
Okay,
social change.
how long do we have left until we're broke as a nation, and you know, I mean, we pretty much end up fucking just shitting the bed.
Well, broke as a nation will encourage people to start having traditional family values.
right, I agree. So here, I have a chart.
When you're broke.
I have a chart I want to share. I shared it earlier, but I didn't get to talk on it. So this is a thing. Hold on, here it goes. All right, so this is a little triangle chart I made. I'm very proud of it.
Hold
So
on,
here
I
we
have to
have.
respond to somebody first.
Okay.
Actually,
Well,
Tropicidal 96. If you wrote in the Constitution and people had agreed to it, and the Supreme Court thought it was a not violating somebody else's rights, and it didn't violate the non-aggression principle, yes.
right. Okay. So, we're throwing in the non-aggression principle now. Okay. All right. So all right. I didn't realize you were an ANCAP, but that's good to know. All right. So.
Not truly or classically. I think they have some good ideas, but I don't wholly subscribe to anything. I refuse to.
All right.
I'm not a bandwagon jumper.
So when society collapses, we're going to return to patriarchy. Just so you know, it's by necessity. So I'll be vindicated either way. Either society collapses because of egalitarianism and feminism, and then by necessity, because when you're gonna die, if there's no police, there's no 911, you're gonna find a man to protect you. And if that man tells you to do something because he's keeping you alive, you're going to do it. That's how societies have always worked. That's patriarchy. The man is responsible for you. He has authority over you. The whole my house, my rules thing.
No.
So you think in a collapse scenario where women are wholly dependent on men for their daily survival, men are going to allow them to keep their rights and do whatever the fuck they want?
No, but I think if you keep saying that men are responsible for women, you're infantilizing women and you're taking away the capability of women to be equally helpful within a society.
Right. Well, because I don't start with principles. I start with observable reality. Women are not equal to men. They never have, they never will be. They are dependent on men for their survival. They are smaller, weaker, and less intelligent than men. This is biology.
They are less intelligent.
They absolutely are.
On the high end of the IQ, on the high end of the IQ spectrum,
on the high,
but on average, women learn faster than men.
No, they don't. They start puberty 2 years earlier. That's all.
No.
That once in a lifetime developmental advantage that between 11 and 13, that's what those bell curves are based on. If you look at teenagers, if you look at adults, men are just more intelligent than women. And you see this
even if they are,
everywhere.
that doesn't make them less valuable. You sound like an alt-righter when you start talking about intelligence being the part of what determines who gets to have privileges and rights in a society. Fuck me.
Right. I'm talking about responsibility. Women are dependent on men for their survival. Men have responsibility for women. That's not infantilizing them. That's acknowledging biological reality. In the same way that children are dependent on adults and adults are responsible for children, women are dependent on men and men are responsible for women. This is how things have always been. No amount of feel-good
and without
philosophies.
Women, there is no more society. So saying that men are responsible for women and that women have no ability and no agency to be responsible for themselves, you're devaluing the entire basis for being human.
I'm describing basic observable biological reality. I'm not trying to hurt your fifis. I'm describing.
I don't care about fifis. I'm trying to be
right. So
rational
women
about
are
this and
dependent on men. This is a fact. It has always been thus. It shall always be thus, unless we have transhumanism and change our biology. Then we can talk about men and women being equal once we actually biologically make men and women equal. But right now, because of biology, because of sexual dimorphism, men are the ones who do all the things. Yes, women have babies, and that's important. You can't have a human race without babies. But
So make sure
that
you
doesn't
treat
make men and
women.
women right. I'm not saying, look, a farmer takes care of his livestock. The farmer will feed
Oh,
his
so now
livestock.
women
He'll
are livestock.
I, they're also lobsters. You're a lobster.
Oh, so are you. My
We're all
pincers are bigger and
lobsters.
my tail's a little wider, but
We're all
whatever. Um,
lobsters. But I'm using the farmer as the example. Women will be taken care of. Women are taken care of in patriarchal societies. But they have to sit down and shut up because they're not responsible for themselves, just like the child. My house, my rules. Sit down and shut up. Go to your room. That's the price you pay for being dependent on others.
so other adults don't have as much adult agency because they don't make money, but they make people instead.
They don't have responsibility because they're dependent on others. If someone's responsible for you, they must have authority over you. This is
So that means
one
that if I commit a
inexorably
crime, my husband needs to go to jail for it then because he's responsible for me, right?
in some
Yes.
well, if your child smashes a window, who pays for it? The child or you?
So what you're saying is women aren't actually adult ever.
No, I'm saying they're lobsters. But no, women are children. That's a factual statement. However, I would say they're above children, but they're below a man. Like there's a spectrum between child and man, and I'd say women are
So
somewhere in the
there's
middle.
levels to being human.
There's
Yes.
levels to being a responsible adult, and women do not meet the benchmark of a responsible, independent adult. They meet the standard of a giant fuckable child.
No wonder why you're a MGTOW. Wow.
Hmm. I
Um,
know. Look,
All right.
Jesus.
All right, all right,
I
all right, all
doesn't.
right. Okay. Hang on. Before,
All right.
because I feel like this is
Okay.
devolving. This
This
devolved
is
here for a second. Hang on one second. Look,
well.
it devolved. It devolved for one
I
second. I can put it right back on track. All right. It's real
all
simple.
right. Okay.
It's really, really simple. All right. Look, if you're relying upon another person to take care of you, feed you, clothe you, put a roof over top of your head, and do all the things that need to be done, you have to make proper decisions for the entire family. All right. And if you're not, then you become a liability instead of being an asset to the family. It is a basic thing. So you have to be kept in line because you're responsible for the fucking children and the household that a man is over here working his dick off for.
No, I'm not. I'm not responsible for anything. I'm just a giant fuckable child. I have no agency. I'm not responsible for anything. I can just sit here and eat bonbons and watch TV all fucking day because I made kids.
Wow, what do you say after that one? Brutal, savage, wrecked, absolutely taken down.
I mean, it seems to me if you're saying that women have that they're just giant children that aren't responsible then
Mm-hmm.
for themselves,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because they are.
then they don't need to be
I mean,
responsible for the children they make either, which means that men are going to have to be responsible for everything at that point. Is that
right?
really what
No,
you want?
right. So yeah, women, their job is to be responsible for the child, and the man is responsible for them. So there's like different degrees. There's like your employees, there's your middle manager, and there's your upper management CEO. I mean, this is I don't know, like this is crazy. But yeah, men are responsible for women, therefore they have authority over women. Women are responsible for children, therefore they have authority over children. So parents have responsible for their children, but men, because they're responsible for the woman and the children, they have authority over both. This isn't a contradiction. This is how things have always worked. This is a patriarchal society. I know, I know, I feel it. I feel the hurt. I feel the salt, but it's true.
I don't disagree that there are levels of responsibility that are different. But if you start
Hmm.
saying that women aren't responsible and you
They're
start trying
not.
to say, will you let me finish?
Okay, all right.
When you start saying that women are not responsible and they are just basically giant fuckable children that are only there to take care of surface needs around the house and sate a need for fucking, You're encouraging women to be less responsible with the creatures made from said fucking.
Well, no, because they're still accountable to
Yes.
the man. If they don't do a good job raising their kids, they're gonna be consequences. There are gonna be consequences and repercussions.
So now you're advocating violence against people
I didn't.
if they don't
Some
do what you
some
want.
women need to be pH balanced. It's strong enough for a man, but it's made for a woman.
Well, okay, all right. So here's the deal. You want to have good kids, and I want to have good kids, right? That's the situation. You know what I mean? So we're both gonna do the right thing to try to fucking make sure that our children grow up in a proper fucking manner. And if you don't, right, then everyone suffers.
Well, and she was advocating for the nuclear family a hot minute ago. That's what the nuclear family is.
No, nuclear family is two parents raising the children inside the household.
Right, but
It has shit to do with roles or anything like that, because there are nuclear families where the man stays home and raises the children and the woman goes out and works.
Yeah, those don't work out very well because of hypergamy. Like the divorce rate is like 75%. So, are you talking about taking away women's ability to divorce their husbands if they're if they're not the breadwinner?
No, I was just
Oh,
saying
okay.
that nuclear families are two parents in the household together raising the children.
Right, but someone's got to raise the kids. Generally, it's the mother because of the maternal instinct and
Biology.
whatnot. Yeah, so that's generally what we're talking about. So since the woman is not working and she's financially dependent on the man, and the man's responsible for her well-being as well as the children, and the man has to have authority over the wife and the children because they're dependent on him, he needs to have authority over the family, and we call that a patriarchy. You can't have a nuclear family based on equality because you can't divide those responsibilities equally between the man and the woman. Someone's got to be responsible for the family, and that's the man. He's got to go make the money. He's got to go keep the family alive.
How many families do you have? How many kids do you have? How long have you been married?
Oh, okay. So,
No, I'm asking.
I don't know. How many cardiac surgeons have had heart attacks? I don't like how many heart attacks does a cardiac surgeon need before he can correctly
you're
work on a
talking
heart?
about this. You're talking about this from a very clinical perspective, but relationships are as diverse as what we're talking about in this subject matter.
Because I'm talking
Saying
in
that
general.
there has to
In
be.
general.
Yeah. Okay. Then let me finish. Fuck.
Gosh.
Jeez. So if we're going to talk about nuclear families, there's actually far less of a power struggle within most functional nuclear families. It's much more of a dichotomy of responsibility based upon the needs within the moment.
Right, but
yes,
as far as
breadwinnership is a big deal, and yes, being outside of the house for long periods of time is a big deal. However, saying that there's like a managerial structure to something that is far more communal than any of that isn't going to work, because you aren't recognizing that at the familial level, humans are rather communistic. We are very cooperativistic, and we don't look for hierarchies and power in those situations.
Well, okay. So, yeah, children naturally look to adults to take care of them, and women are attracted to men precisely for their ability to provide and protect and care for them. That's what sexual marketplace value is based on. So these are biological instincts. I don't call that communism. I understand like the basis of like small rural primitive communism where families took care of each other. But yeah, that was based on division of labor, and obviously there was no money involved. Like a husband doesn't pay his wife to raise his kids, and then she doesn't pay him to live in his house. They just kind of understand that you do this, and I'll provide for you. It's basically payment in kind. So I can appreciate that. But as far as society is concerned, the man has been recognized as the head of the house as in society up until feminism. That's what I'm talking about. Men having authority over families, men having authority over women. This is the way it's been in Western civilization until feminism. So you believe in nuclear families, you believe in so you say you believe in egalitarianism, but then you also want nuclear families where women are dependent on men. So you're either, and this also existed way back in the day when housework was a lot harder. I mean, we're building robots to do most of the housework. So, I mean, yeah, women could raise the kids, that's fine, but I mean, unless they're homeschooling them, They're not. It's not a full-time job.
I am homeschooling my kids. It is a full-time job and then some. So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. I'm all for traditional roles. I'm also all for people being able to choose whether they have those roles or not. If you start taking people's rights to make those choices away simply because you want to keep a society intact, you're kind of violating the very basis for said society in terms of America. It's just not going to work.
But America wasn't founded on gender equality. Women couldn't vote until 1920.
Okay,
America
that
has existed
doesn't
since
matter.
1776.
That
So,
doesn't matter because, it also wasn't supposed to be anybody that didn't run a business and owned land. It didn't matter if you were a felon or not. If you owned a business or ran a
how
business or
is
owned land,
so
you were
so you're
supposed
saying
to
that
vote. But back,
the 19th Amendment is just crucial to our values as Americans. If we get rid of the 19th Amendment, we've sacrificed our identity. We don't deserve to call ourselves Americans anymore without that 19th Amendment.
yes, because it's based on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All men are created equal, endowed by certain rights.
All right.
Okay, inalienable rights.
So
So
prior to the 1900s, what system did America have? Since they clearly weren't egalitarian, they clearly weren't founded on Enlightenment principles. What system of government did the United States have?
prior to what again?
Prior to 1920, what system did America have before women could vote? What were
We still had the
Americans?
same representative republic.
Well, they weren't.
It doesn't
We
change
weren't
the voting
Americans because without women voting, we violated the all men are created equal. So what
Define
were we?
adaptation. Define adaptation.
Okay, so adaptate. How is that? Okay, adaptation. I can pull up the dictionary definition. Hold on, let me define. Look up adaptation.
American culture adapted to a new law being written.
And
It is
then if we go,
now the fundamental and codified in our nation.
so if we
What
adapt
else are we
again,
supposed to say?
so if we
You're not
adapt and
asking for
abolish the 19th Amendment,
adaptation, but that's not adaptation. You're asking for a reversal of something. You're asking for regression
right? So
rather
so
than any
when so
progression.
when the Prohibition Amendment was abolished, we stopped being Americans because we got rid of an amendment.
No,
We're
where did
not
I
we're
say
not.
like that?
So the 19th Amendment can't be gotten rid of. That would violate our fundamental identity as an American.
There's
But
a
we can
little bit
abolish.
difference. There's a big difference between saying, hey, you can't drink alcohol and hey, you can't vote because you don't own a business, especially in a society where we now don't have the ability to use our meritocratic abilities to make money as easily as we used to. We have a very nepotistic economic system right now that is controlled by corporations and the government
Oh
being
God.
in cahoots with those corporations. If we were still on the same kind of playing field we were when the suffragettes were walking around and we didn't have the slaughterhouse ruling slapping us in the face, yes, I would agree with it, fine, because everybody would still have the same opportunities. But now that we are in the position we are in, where if you don't have the right place, it's not capitalist, it's fucking nepotist. You guys are fucking being children about this.
No, we have plenty of economic and social mobility in the United States. Most people who are poor because they made poor choices or they're disabled, which you're never going to do away with that. That you can't stop people from being disabled again unless you're going transhuman and we can like rewrite people's biology and do away with genetic diseases, which I'm fine with, but we're not there yet. But yeah, so take women's rights away.
It won't
Do
work.
it.
It won't
It's
work.
working now. It's
You're
working right
asking to
now.
make Schrodinger's cat real.
It's
In
working
America,
right
it's not
now.
going to work. It's not
It
going to work in America. It may
all right.
work in Sweden where they've been taught for generations upon generations to be non-confrontational.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
You
Okay.
see what I'm saying? There's a
All right.
complete difference in the cultures too. The
right.
women in America are far more willing to fight than the women in Sweden because they haven't had generation upon generation being told, no, you can't argue. You have to be quiet. We have to be civil about everything. That's not how Americans act. Come on. We're the country that created fucking, America. We go
Yeah.
bomb the shit out of
Well,
shit for fun. I mean, we are
we
one of the few countries that has codified freedom of speech. We are the only country with codified freedom of speech and the right
mhm.
to bear arms. That changes the game.
Yeah, men did those things, not women.
It doesn't matter if men or women did them. We're talking about American culture, for fuck's
Right.
sake.
So
Your
American
penis doesn't make you more important. It just
culture
makes you male.
culture is defined by the people. As the people are replaced because they stopped having kids, the culture will change. Like if you go down to the southwestern United States, you'll go to places where no one speaks English, everyone speaks Spanish. How did that happen? It's because the Spanish immigrants were having all the kids. They basically took over the southwestern United States. And then the culture changed. It wasn't American culture anymore. Now it was Mexican culture. And as you're like, America did all these great things. Yeah, but then those Americans gave their women rights and stopped having kids. And they're going to be replaced by other cultures with different values, and they will take women's rights away because they don't have these cultural values. That's what's happening in Europe. It is inevitable. It's not, you're like saying it's impossible. It's inevitable. It's the opposite of impossible. If you don't take women's rights away, Muhammad will. Or someone who doesn't believe in women's equality will take their rights away because they will outbreed us and they will replace us. And it's happening now.
Yo, look here, Matt. Yo, don't be in the fucking chat room talking reckless about, somebody who's in here willing to have a debate and conversation. All right, because most motherfuckers won't come in here and bang and fucking have a conversation. Have some fucking respect. All right. It's a civil discourse. That's how this shit works. All right.
I'm gonna pop if I have to deal with a whole line of fucking
weird
shit. It's gonna distract me, and I can't talk.
Yeah, I got it. I'll take care of it. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
This is civil discourse. You know the situation, man. Everybody's welcome in my neck of the woods, and I make sure that shit stays civil. All right. It's very basic. You're willing to have a conversation, and I respect you for, what I'm saying, you're willing to fucking stand here and come in here and bang. I ain't got no problem with that. And this is beautiful, and this is a great conversation. And I'm enjoying this thoroughly, and so is everybody else in here. Plumber, you need to calm the fuck down with your nonsense. TFM, go ahead, my brother. You were saying.
No, I'm done. I'm reading this little thing someone posted.
What that? After all, it's $50 thing.
What?
Yeah, the $50 thing.
Well, I'm not.
I've already made my point. So
I'm not a trad thought, and I'm not. I'm kind of. You guys want to sit here and insult me for not agreeing with you and disagreeing with feminism at the same time. That's on you. If you can't make a rational argument out of it. All I'm saying is that you're trying to say taking women's rights away is going to make everything all better, and it's not. Not in a society where people are already used to and accustomed to those things. If you want to make change, you got to do it on the social level.
Right.
And on the social level, the best way to do it to encourage birth rates, which is what you've been hung up on, is to encourage traditional life, and encourage traditional values that encourage breeding.
But those involve male responsibility. So are you going to give men authority? Right. So I see Jordan
Everybody
Peterson.
has authority. It's not about whether it's a man or a woman. It's who decides. Everybody decides their authority.
Right. So I've been debunking this. So this is why they're calling you a trad thought. So I disagree with that, but let me explain why they're thinking that. So, there have been like PragerU videos and Jordan B. Peterson videos and all this other stuff talking about men taking responsibility, which is fine. If men can't not take responsibility, otherwise society ceases to exist. Men have to take responsibility. The question is, are men going to get authority commensurate with responsibility? If the answer is no, then fuck you. If the answer is yes, then great, we have patriarchy. So if you want men to take responsibility, which is required for a society, you have to give them authority, which means women have to give them their rights. You can't have responsibility without authority.
You have it all the time. That's what raising kids in America is.
Okay. I believe it or not, TFM has a really good thing about this. All right. If you were put in charge of a project at work, right? And hang on, man, I gotta mute this dude. Right. They stood here and they said you're in charge of this project and work, and they gave you 4 people to motherfucking, get this job done. But you had no ability to stand here and make them do anything. You were handed no authority over top of them. How the fuck is it you were going to get that fucking project done? Like, you're fully responsible for getting it done, right? But you have no authority over anybody to get the shit done.
Welcome to the real world, because that's kind of how a lot of businesses work. People pretend they have authority. Yes, actually, you can go to jail for hitting your kids. You can go to jail for whooping your kids. I love how everybody tells me, no, you can't. I've already been threatened with that for spanking my child in public before. It is a
yo,
real fucking thing.
I was out on bail for 2 years for aggravated assault for putting my hands on my son. Real shit.
Fucking tell me that. No,
Yeah,
we have all kinds of people in Western society that are given responsibility and no authority and expected to do that shit.
And what happens is it breaks down that unit. When parents lose authority over their children, the family breaks down. When businesses don't have authority, so you have to have authority over and responsibility together, or the unit breaks down. So you can't just say, "Oh well, we have that now." But yeah, the places where we do have that, they're collapsing and failing because you have to have responsibility and authority together. Parents have to have authority over their children, or they can't raise them. A business owner has to have authority over his employees, or he can't run a business. And men have to have authority over women, or you don't have a nuclear family or a society. You can separate them temporarily, but you're just going to cause dysfunction and destruction, and then everything's going to go to shit, which is exactly what you're seeing.
You're talking about authority as if there's no agency involved in authority. Okay? You're talking about authority as if women have no agency in the situation because they have no responsibility under your definition. But women and men have equal agency, they have equal authority, and how they choose to use it is what should be debated, not whether women can vote or men can vote or so-and-so can vote or so-and-so can go to court and buy some shit.
I agree with you that women have agency. If they don't like it, they know where the door is. They can get the fuck out of my house. That they can exercise their agency and leave. You know what they don't get? They don't get to take my shit and my kids with them.
Okay, I agree with that.
So women have their agency, but if they're going to live in my house, under my roof, eating my food, rent free, they're going to keep my dick moisturized, and they're going to shut the fuck up.
Okay, you don't understand how relationships work then. It isn't just a give and take, like you provide me with stuff to make me feel good and that's why you're here. That's not how it works. Relationships don't actually have that kind of dichotomy in them. A successful relationship is egalitarian in nature. You view each other as equals because you equally want to be happy with each other. Right, so it doesn't work the way you're describing.
Why is it study and survey after survey show that women don't actually want to be equal in a relationship? That they actually are attracted to men who take charge?
There's a difference between taking charge and treating somebody equally within the relationship.
So you want to have your cake and eat it too. So you want men to be responsible for you, but they want them to pretend. So we want to like pretend women are equal, but actually take care of them?
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, honey, help me describe this, talking about the give and take we have in our relationship and the basis of authority in our relationship.
It swaps back and forth. It's flowing. It doesn't, not one person's in charge all the time. And it comes from mutual respect and understanding who is better at handling a given situation.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, so
right.
Yeah, because he's much better at conciseness in terms of our relationship than I am, because he's older than me and he's smarter than me.
I'm fine with deferring to your wife, or or the mother of your children for certain issues. Say, look, you spend more time with the kids. I'm going to put you. That's fine. That delegation is part of any authority. Look at any business that you delegate. That's fine. But if you're a stay-at-home mother, homeschooling your kids, and he's responsible for you, there's a responsibility there, which you should respect. And look again. A farmer owns the farm, owns the livestock, but he still takes care of them. This idea that the farm animals are not equal to the farmer, but the farmer does take care of the needs of the farm animals. And I'm using a very dehumanizing example to prove a point. I'm not saying women are animals.
Retarded.
But you're
saying women are property.
I'm not saying women are property. I'm saying they're less than a man, but more than a child. Are children property of their parents?
No, they're human beings.
Right, but do parents have authority over their children? But do parents have authority over their children?
Yes, because they made them.
Oh, so there's no contradiction.
You didn't make me.
But I'm going to make you listen to me or you can leave.
No, you're not understanding. I made those people. They came from my person. They were small. They didn't have the ability to be a responsible adult yet. So as soon as they were capable of being a responsible adult, well, half of them are responsible adults. As soon as they were capable of being responsible adults, I let them loose in the world.
Right. But what if, like, come on a journey with me, what if they never became responsible adults?
How about if you meet me halfway here and stop
What if
insisting that women are incapable of being responsible?
You need to show me show me the money. When have women been responsible for themselves and not dependent on men?
It doesn't matter who's dependent. You can be responsible and still be dependent on people. There are lots of disabled people that are responsible and do as good as they can and work and pay taxes and shit and still need to depend on other people.
But if you're dependent on someone, then those people you're dependent on are responsible for you, and thus they have to have authority over you.
Okay, that means everybody has authority over everybody else in the world.
No.
Yes, because we're all dependent on each other to not shoot each other walking down the fucking street.
No, I thought you said ANCAP had good ideas. Yeah, you can. If women were truly independent,
I said some good ideas.
Okay, if women were
Jesus.
capable, of being responsible for themselves, then they would meet men and they would say, "Look, these are let's cooperate. I got something you need, you got something I need," and we would be a pair bonding species. Unfortunately, there's no evidence of that. No, we're not. We are not. If we were a pair bonding species, we would not need marriage and government enforcing monogamy.
Okay, so government doesn't enforce monogamy and marriage. The only reason the government marriage was to prevent mixed race from happening, race mixing from happening.
What?
Yes.
Wait, I'm pretty sure. Wait. Hang on. Like, long before America enforced marriage laws and
there
they
was
had
marriage
licenses, right? And it was enforced by the government because religion was the government.
No, because we've had marriage longer than we've had religion. Anthropologically speaking, one of the first things we did as cultures was create our pair bondings.
No, we enforce monogamy.
Yes.
But we're not a pair bonding species because
we are a pair bonding species.
Animals that are pair bonding don't require enforcement. They just pair bond.
And that's what humans have been doing.
No.
There's no law saying we have to have kids. That's a natural biological impulse. That's what pair bonding is.
No.
Yes.
No. Oh, no.
Yes, that's why. Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Pair bond, no. Oh, no. Pair bonding is you have low sexual dimorphism and you basically pair off and there's no enforcement. There's no government. There's no church. There's no pope. You just have a family and you stay together all on your own.
Okay, so you're changing definitions to fit your little argument here.
No, I'm using a biological.
No, you don't get to change it. Pair bonding, talking about it within culture, you're talking about pair bonding, and that is monogamy.
Oh, hold on.
Monogamy, pair bonding, creatures that are genetically or biologically different that mate for life. The vast majority of humans naturally pair bond. That's why marriage has become such a natural thing to us.
All right, so
one of the first things that humans did after learning how to make fire, dry pelts, and fucking carve things with stone was start openly declaring their pair bonding with their mate.
Claiming their mate.
Right. It was a form of property ownership.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
It was not, because we didn't think in those terms back then. That wasn't even a concept.
Why do you think we defended territory from other tribes? Like, if you took the best hunting ground, you would fight off other tribes to keep it. That's property. And you would stake a claim, like, this is my woman, these are my kids. That's property. It was property, not pair bonding. Pair bonding species have low sexual
familial
dimorphism.
Connection. No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Birds and other low sexual dimorphic animals, they're the ones who pair bond.
Pair bonding is also used to describe human beings in many cultural evolutionary books or evolutionary culturalism books.
Right.
I can't say in culturally biology or biological cultural evolution. The biology of it. Pair bonding is commonly used to refer to humans. Commonly.
Okay. Well, actually, if you actually look it up, humans show they're kind of in the middle because you look at bonobos versus chimps, our closest relatives. Chimps are not pair bonding; they're pretty tournament, and then bonobos are kind of pair bonding, and humans are kind of in the middle. Like, and you look at the sexual dimorphism, bonobos are about 6% sexually dimorphic in terms of the difference between height and weight between males and females. Chimps are about 10% sexually dimorphic, and humans are 8%.
Okay, that has nothing to do with saying that women can't have rights because men go out and work more.
Women are dependent on men. Men need to have authority for that which they are responsible for. Just like children, just like employees.
You can't have authority
just
over
like
humans
everything.
in a society that says that all people are created equal.
That was based on the creator. That doesn't apply because there is no God. We have to, and that just pieces of paper
It's
change.
our law. I'm not talking about God existing.
So you repeal the
law
19th. You
existing.
repeal the 19th. We didn't have women's rights.
That doesn't change the fact that there are people that don't. There are men as well that don't pay taxes.
Yeah, they shouldn't vote either. They shouldn't vote either.
You're talking about only repealing women's rights.
Well, because that's the only way you're going to get shit fixed.
No, it's not.
Yes,
it is.
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, the MRAs, you keep doing your thing, and we'll keep watching the laws get worse by the year, and eventually we'll collapse, and then the patriarchy will be restored, or we'll be replaced, and the patriarchy will be restored. You know what's not going to happen? MRAs are not going to convince women to give up their privileges because they're giant spoiled children who want it both ways.
You know, my husband just showed me something interesting about pair bonds and marriage. Humans are one of the few intelligent species that look to actually pair bond. They use it. In fact, with all this debate and discussion about same-sex marriage in the past few days, it is worth busting a few myths about happily ever after. It is not human nature to seek marriage and a specific romantic relationship, but it is our nature to pair bond, and it is our culture to seek marriage.
All right, so I have...
Pair bonding is a human thing. We have been trying to pair bond. Yes, it is, because it takes so long to raise our kids.
All right.
Oh my God.
Okay. Do you know what? Do you know why they?
Do you know the difference between
when they trace back genealogy? Do you know why they go on the woman's side? Do you know why?
Because you know where the baby came from.
No, not at all.
Yes.
No. When they trace it back, like when they go back, when they go back,
it doesn't matter.
When they go back like 10,000, 15,000 years on the genealogy, right? The reason why they trace it on the woman's side is because only 30% of men actually breeded back then. All right.
I'm gonna post a quote from an article that kind of makes my point for me. So, yeah, like you have pair bonding species form monogamous relationships. That's not humans. It's kind of a mix. But there's a tournament like there are apes that raise their children together that are not pair bonding species. Just because you raise your children together doesn't mean you're pair bonding. There's tournament and there's pair bonding. Tournament species compete for mate access, which is what you see in early human civilization. You see men killing each other and taking all the women and having harems. You see it in the Bible. You see it in the Old Testament, the warlords with their harems of women.
And, you know, we didn't have a population boom back then, did we? And we also had inbreeding problems with genetic issues that decreased life expectancy because we weren't paying attention to that, whether that was our cousin or not. It's
right.
Humans evolve and adapt, okay? Some of our biology hasn't changed much, but most of it has. If you guys are going to get hung up on pair bonding, this is not going to be a real discussion. Because pair bonding is part of human nature. We want to stay with the same mate and have kids with the same mate. It's just how we work.
Do we?
Period.
Then why?
Biology is biology is biology. Humans have been monogamous in these long-term pairs where they raise their kids since.
It's
not. It is. It is. That is the anthropology of it states that.
But it has to be enforced.
I went to college for anthropology.
It doesn't have to be enforced. It doesn't have to be enforced because it wasn't enforced back when we first started pairing off and mating.
But women are see, women didn't pair bond. They had women didn't pair bond back in the day. They would be promiscuous. They'd fuck whoever. That's why women's breasts stay like large all the time instead of engorging versus when they're in heat. They have a was it fucking sexual cryptis or whatever where they can breed with different men and they can reproduce with who they want and alpha fucks and beta bucks. This is like we have these things in our we see it we observe it all the time. You look in history, you can see it. Humans are not like there's benefits to monogamy. I agree that monogamy should be enforced. That doesn't make humans a pair bonding species. Yeah, that's why. But I mean, that's why in monogamy has to be enforced so strictly in order to reap those benefits of monogamy. But if
How
humans
is monogamy enforced so strictly?
it used to. Now it's not. Now women could just fucking take your money and go fuck Chad and Tyrone while you're paying child support.
How is having a harem monogamy?
It's not. That's why it had to be enforced.
Okay, so
when we decided that the benefits of monogamy.
Contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not, because I'm saying humans are not naturally pair bonding. Humans are not naturally pair bonding.
Yes, because it takes so long to raise our children, and it's such a long gestation period. Animals with long gestation periods tend to have long-term mating. Long-term mating is generally looked at as pair bonding.
But you can have tournament mating, and you can have those same things in a tournament mating species that isn't
okay,
pair bonding.
Fine. We're pair bonding and tournament. Does that work better?
Yes, but that's not the same. So you have to enforce monogamy.
They're damn near the same. You don't have to enforce monogamy.
They're actually opposites. Pair bonding and tournament are actually opposite mating strategies.
You can have pair bonding and competition.
No.
Not really. Not unless you enforce monogamy through violence. Basically, like back in the day.
Okay, I'm not ready to bounce because I'm not an it. I'm a person, and I don't like being dehumanized. And I'm not digging the chat. I'm not digging the chat.
All right.
Because I'm not an it, and I'm not a thought, and I'm done with being called an it.
Bye.
So, if it's not going to be me able to talk without being fucking insulted on the side, and it distracting me from being able to keep my fucking thoughts straight, then I'm not.
I'll tell you, I've already stated this, and this is the dude who came in afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Fucking, she's here, and she should be fucking respected for goddamn being here and having a conversation, because most motherfuckers won't do it.
Well, this is why.
Yeah, this is exactly why. You know
all right. I'm not even. I don't. This is why I don't read the chat, but that's fine. All right. I got shit to do with myself anyway. So.
Yo,
thank you for the discussion. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you for the discussion.
Bye.
All right, peace.
I'll talk to you later, Tom.
Later, Ma. Everybody back to TFM.